Hey everybody, this is Wes.
And this is Joe with the World of Wes and Joe.
Welcome to our world. Hey everybody, it's Wes. As you probably have noticed by now, we've got a new name. That's One Sharp Podcast. The reason being is we just got word from Joe, and he will no longer be able to come back. He's just really busy with the police academy, and as soon as he becomes a full-fledged police officer, it's only going to get more hectic after that. So that being said, this is the last time you'll be hearing the intro of the World of Wes and Joe. We hope you look forward to hearing the new one. Heidi, we got ourselves a guest today. Who's that?
So we do have a guest today. His name is Chris Howze. He is my very dear friend. We met at Delta College about 1,000 years ago because we're very old now. We met in, I think it was our mass communications class.
That would be right, and it was around 2010, 2011, I think.
Yeah. And then I got recruited into the newspaper, the Delta Collegian, which is an excellent newspaper, by the way. You should pick up a copy.
Absolutely.
And I think he was an editor at that point, and I was just a staff writer.
We were both grunts. We both started at the same position. We were both grunts.
Did we?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where we met, and we just hit it off and became really good friends. Through thick and thin, through tough times of the newspaper, and both were editors at the very end there.
Yeah. Editor-in-chief
and then opinion editor. So we had fun doing that.
Which was which?
Chris was the editor-in-chief.
But that came later.
And I was the opinion editor.
Because she's very opinionated.
Yeah, when I actually, I was editor-in-chief when our teacher let us know that she was pregnant. And so that she would be having to leave, the class before the actual semester was done. So she asked me to be editor-in-chief, and I was like, why? And she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I didn't think I would do a particularly good job at it, but I think I did a decent job there.
And you did a great job.
It gave me the discipline I needed to go into further ventures down the way.
Anyway, so all that happened years ago. Chris is a baby on the way.
That's correct. Yeah.
Pretty soon, right?
Yeah, July 18th. We found out on Election Day. That was fun.
Oh my God.
Sweet.
Yeah, that was fun. I was just, at the end of the day, I was just I was talking to my wife's stomach. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Depending on how you felt about election.
Either way, it was, either way, I was just like, oh God, this was such an inopportune time.
But yeah, so after all that, he decided to pursue his dream and start reviewing movies for real on his YouTube channel, which is called the Movie Howse. And we are here to talk about that today.
Oh, which I gotta say, I've watched multiple, if not, there might have been one or two that I haven't watched yet, but all of them are great. I really enjoy watching them.
When did you get really into movies, watching them all the time and being the movie buff that you are?
Yeah, because that's kind of one of the things that you when you hang out with me long enough, it becomes that thing. It's like, Christ, this guy talks about movies all the time, and it comes from a couple things. I mean, I was big into movies from the get-go. Part of it I think stems from the fact that people that get obsessed with fantasy worlds, typically it's a way for them to cope with something that's happening in the real life that they don't want to be a part of. So I'll just leave it at that. But they were just always my gateway. It was I could escape. It was 90 minutes to 2 hours of freedom. And I got obsessed and I just fell in love with the idea of how you make a movie. And, I've always just been so fascinated in storytelling in general. There's that thing about the fact that Joseph Campbell has this theory called the hero of 1,000 faces, is that we have, for thousands of years, we've been telling the same fundamental stories. It doesn't matter if you were separated by continents, cultures, or even, millennia of time. We're all still fundamentally telling the same stories, and I find that fascinating as hell. And film is more, film isn't just entertainment. Film is storytelling. Storytelling is how we convey our reality. It's our perception of reality. It's how we explain it to other people. It's how we pass on important information to the next generation. It's more than just basal entertainment. When I found out that my wife was pregnant, I just realized that I'd spent most of my life, talking about it, and never putting, my money where my mouth is. And I had all of this ability and training to actually, I'm not saying I'm great. I just, do a decent job. I know how to edit. I know how to write. So I decided, why not? Why not do reviews? Why not, do something that everyone around me has always told me that you could do so well. So I decided, screw it, let's do this.
And I can test, you do it very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always great to, like, when I'm trying to find a video game or a movie to watch, when I watch a review and somebody's just like kind of half into it, I can tell that you love movies. So you're very genuine in all your reviews. And that's why I feel like I can trust what you have to say. I don't necessarily always agree after seeing the movie with you, but I can see where you're coming from and all the things that you say.
It's okay. I mean, I have already gotten to the point where I understand in myself that eventually I'm just going to jump the shark in the eyes of my audience, and they're also going to be like, he's just falling off the deep end. Why did he like this movie? I'm already getting people upset about the fact that I didn't like the Beauty and the Beast remake.
Oh, come on.
I haven't seen it yet, but I am taking your word that it's not.
It's not terrible. It's just the thing is like
the French girl with the British accent.
Sure,
you didn't like that?
No, my thing is like and I show it up in my review. Not to plug myself, sorry, but
definitely plug away.
Plug away.
But is that a remake has to have a purpose to being retold. The best remakes are movies that somebody loved that original movie. And they're like, I love that movie, but what if we talked about this instead? What if we did this instead? So the best remakes are ones that barely have anything in common with the original. Pete's Dragon, the Pete's Dragon remake from last year is a really good example because all it has in common with Pete's Dragon is Pete and a dragon. And everything else is totally different. The Dawn of the Dead remake is a great remake because it's about people in a mall during a zombie apocalypse. Everything else is totally different. The problem with Beauty and the Beast is that it's the same movie, and it's a movie that we all still remember fondly.
Just done in live action.
Well, I can say just from
Yes.
I haven't seen the movie, but I was a huge fan, still am, of the cartoon version. And I'm a huge Gaston fan. One of my favorite musical parts of that movie, or the cartoon movie, is the Gaston song.
And that's one of the few things that actually it's pretty good. It's a pretty good.
I didn't like the new song. I was just like, it doesn't have that the original Gaston song. It's fun. You sing along with it. It's the other one is just like they're grasping too hard.
The only thing I like the things that I liked the most about the remake was Gaston and LeFou because those two actors seemed to be actually adding things that wasn't originally in the characters. Mm-hmm. That was at least interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just it was okay. It's just then everyone's like, then if you hated that, why did you love Fate of the Furious? I loved that film. I still didn't even give it that great a review, but I love when schlock delivers.
Yeah, well, that's actually a question I had for you. If you love a movie, is there ever a time when you'll give it a bad review just because you're like, you know what? It was fun to watch. It was good to watch, but I don't think it was that great of a movie.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, there's total movies that are, that, like, okay, so like Fate of the Furious. The Fast and Furious movies are not good movies. I mean, they're not. They have a lot of problems, but I appreciate
like jumping a car onto a boat
yes,
fast
absolutely,
too.
Absolutely. Because it's what I love about the franchise, and this is something I just in my taste in movies is I hate pretension. I hate self-seriousness. I can take a little bit of it every now and then, but there has to be an element where it's like, you guys realize this is absurd, right? And I like it when someone leans just full on into the absurdity. And what I love about the Fast and Furious franchise is that it's become a franchise that's less about why and more about why not. Why not?
Sure.
You know, because like the Underworld franchise, those are shitty movies, but I still enjoy them. I mean, I've never given one like a fantastic review, but I still will be like, yeah, I want to watch Underworld. That was fun. You know, like another good example would be because I liked it more than I originally when I first saw it, would be last year's Suicide Squad.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, here we go.
See, I love that movie, and I just rewatched it, the extended cut, and honestly, the extended cut for me didn't add enough to where I was like it went more in depth in the relationships or whatever, but I was like, I can't see these people working together, but I love the movie because it's a fun ride.
You know, my thing is that I love parts of that movie, but as a story, it falls apart. I mean, when you hear stories that the script was written in 6 weeks, and then you watch the movie and you go, yeah, I see that, because it's a pastiche of bullshit. Some of it's really nice, but most of it's just kind of like A leads to C, which leads back to B, but goes to F.
But I mean, the same thing could be said for Die Hard 3, though. It's kind of crazy at some points. It gets weird. Like, yeah, it all ties together at the end, but it's like.
But is anybody claiming that Die Hard 3 is a good movie?
You're gonna leave.
It's one of my favorites.
You're gonna leave with Die Hard 3.
I love Die Hard 3.
Simon says Die Hard 3 isn't that, and also Die Hard with a Vengeance isn't that great. Okay.
It's better than Die Hard 2.
Sure it is, but Die Hard 2 is just copy-paste. You know what's great about the Die Hard franchise? I don't know if you know this, but every single Die Hard sequel was actually a different movie, and then they're like, let's just make it a Die Hard film.
I think I've heard that before, yeah.
Like, Die Hard 4 had nothing to do with John McClane, and then someone was like,
He's not a super cop.
Well, and that's the thing. Okay, God. This is what happens when you get in conversations with me, is that we're going to trail off and talk about movies.
And that's
great.
Great.
I apologize. But
that's great, because I'll do the same
thing.
thing.
But, like, okay, with Die Hard. Okay. Die Hard, I will never watch any Die Hard movie other than the first one, because what I love about the first one is Die Hard, next to maybe Aliens and Point Break, is a perfect action movie. Die Hard is perfect. When people tell me what's a perfect movie, I say Die Hard and Back to the Future. Because those films are so perfectly written. There's no fat. Everything functions beautifully. And I love the simplicity of the fact that, like, all the obstacles that John has to face are not big movie problems. You know, the bigger story of the terrorists, yes, that's bad. But the big moment in the movie where everyone just winces is shoot the glass. And he has to run over the glass.
Definitely.
And then you compare that to Die Hard 4, where he's surfing off the back of an F-22 Raptor as it explodes. And you're like, one of these things is not like the other. It's the opposite of a movie like The Fast and the Furious, because the Fast and the Furious the series now is so absurd that it barely resembles its original movie. But that's okay, because the absurdity, they lean into it so hard that you just go, oh my God, this is just nuts.
What if Justin Long, though, was in Die Hard 4, so that's like a good thing, though.
Dude, Kevin Smith was also in Die Hard 4. What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that was a great part for me. I was like, I like that actor.
Sure.
I love Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
He just saved the movie for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, the thing is, like, Die Hard 4 became an infinitely better movie when Die Hard 5 came out.
That's what I was going to say. Can we even count Die Hard 5 as a movie?
Because Die Hard, and we need to stop calling them, like, it's like, because sequels don't exist in that way. They don't call a movie just by its title plus a number anymore, except for Fast and Furious. But of course, even now, they're like, what's the new movie called? It's called The Fate of the Furious, the F8 of the Furious. That should insult my intelligence, but also I find it so just the unmitigated gall of having a title like that. As I said in my review for Fate of the Furious, I can't hate a movie that's so completely confident in its utter stupidity.
Agreed. But, I mean, I think Die Hard 5 does admit to its own stupidity. Like, the fact that they just happen to find guns. John McClane and his son just happen to find all these guns in the back of a trunk. A car.
But it's lame.
It's lame,
The
but
movie's lame. At least, like, it's like when I love how we're comparing Die Hard to Fast and Furious, because it's like, that's lame. It's like, well, how's Fast and Furious not lame? Because they steal a bank vault with 2 Dodge Chargers and they drag it through the streets of Rio. That ain't lame. That's absurdly amazing. Is it stupid? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's really stupid. But, like...
Well, yeah, like I said, the issue with the Die Hard series is you start out Die Hard 1... John McClane, he's not a super cop.
No.
He isn't, and he has a tough time with anybody he fights.
2 million terrorists in the world, and I have to kill the one that has feet smaller than my sister.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you go to Die Hard 2, and he's almost becoming this, like, super cop. And Die Hard 3, and then 4, all of a sudden, this whole place is getting, like, taken over by hackers.
I'll give you
he's
3...
the one man who can take care of it.
Die Hard with a Vengeance, at least, because it was directed by the same director the first one, it has a little bit of what made that first one work. I love the fact that, like, in the third movie, McClane's just massively hungover the entire film. And they actually make that a part of the story where it's like, he can't do everything 100% because he's got a massive migraine.
That is true.
That's funny. That's funny. That adds to the film. I mean, like, the film itself is just
garbage.
It's okay. It's just...
No, it's garbage.
It's okay.
I like
fine.
it, but it's
I
garbage.
love how you're just like, I love Die Hard 3. Now we're just like 2 minutes later, it's garbage.
But I still love the garbage.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like, it's okay to like something that's crap. I mean, like, the thing is
like
this.
McDonald's.
Is that, no, that's what it is. Okay, so because the thing is this, is that if every, movies, if most movies are like a decent steak dinner, a schlocky, piece of crap movie is like a McDouble on a late night when you're hungover, because every now and then, you don't want to admit it, you really just want the junk food. And there isn't nothing inherently wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't make that the main thing that you like in your taste of movies. Got to have a little bit of don't be a picky eater about it.
Yeah, for sure.
God, that sounds wonderful. Like double.
Yes.
I've just been eating paleo for a week, and then double sounds awesome.
I haven't had McDonald's in despite my Rubenesque frame, I haven't had McDonald's in like about 7-8 months, and I don't miss it.
Until you go past that
So you
McDonald's
drive by and
drive-thru.
smell it, right?
And you start seeing the Titanic.
The second you bite into it, the second you bite into it, though, you're just like, you feel satisfied but guilty as hell at the same time. You're just like, this is awful.
But then after you eat it, you're like, oh, that wasn't as satisfying as I thought.
And to bring this almost to, because we are health and wellness, we podcast saying that we've been eating really healthy with the paleo diet, and we decided on Thursday to go out to Mexican, right? And we've been feeling great because no bread, no soda, none of that stuff, right?
No dairy, nothing.
No dairy. Oh. Then we go out and eat that.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude, we both felt like shit.
Like garbage.
Like I was going to puke my guts out from eating this Mexican that tasted very good.
Yes, and
this schlock that tasted very good, but it made me physically ill.
Yes, and now we go back to our normally scheduled program.
Let's get back to Suicide Squad. Let's get back to Suicide Squad.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's okay. So
it's okay. We
derail. Okay. Suicide Squad. The reason why Suicide Squad as a movie doesn't work ultimately, it's not really its own fault. It's a problem with DC and Warner Brothers right now in general, is that they're so desperately trying to catch up to Marvel without really any of the understanding or patience that Marvel has. Marvel plays the long game. They'll keep things close to the chest, and they'll play things off way down the line. And then you get like Man of Steel. Man of Steel was a decent film, except for the fact that the end of the movie shouldn't have happened at the end of Superman movie, where it's like, oh hey, we're gonna have this big epic action scene where Metropolis gets leveled in a Superman movie. It didn't gel. I don't want to see a city. I want to see a city get destroyed in Independence Day. I don't want to see a city get destroyed in a Superman movie. And then they were like, we're gonna do another one, and we're gonna have Batman in it. And
speaking of which, when are you going to plan your special review for the Batman.
I need to get to that. Yeah,
I've been waiting for it.
Batman v Superman was the movie that broke my back because and that was not a Batman joke. Sorry, but
God, yes.
that movie
Is it not?
I pride my.
This is going to be a great podcast.
But I really pride myself in having a good barometer of knowing which movies are going to be good and which movies are going to be bad. And all the way leading up to Batman v Superman, I was like, oh man, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be great. And then I watched the movie and I was like, this is 30 yards from not being great.
How dare you?
Oh no, that movie was bad, dude.
I'm going to say it's not great, but I look at a movie for whether I'd watch it again or not. And Batman vs. Superman, I wouldn't, like Independence Day. I'll watch that every Independence Day. I don't know if I'd watch Batman v Superman more than 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. But the fact is, I'll watch it for three more times, and
and I don't want this to sound like hyperbole, but this was my Phantom Menace because I was too young to suffer the humiliation and heartbreak that was watching the Phantom Menace and really understanding that I was watching something terrible.
Darth Maul, how dare you?
You mean a character who just there looks cool and doesn't do anything, actually?
So?
But Batman v Superman was the one time where I was like, the ball was in your court. You had everything possible to make a brilliant movie. And you decide to make a movie where Batman kills people, Superman doesn't smile, and Lex Luthor is whatever the hell he was. Oh no, he was Jim Carrey from Batman Forever. That's what he was. Yeah. It's just...
Well, Batman, now I could be wrong, because it's been a while since I've seen the movie. Aside from the dream sequence, Batman didn't actually kill anybody, did he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, also, it's like, yeah, he kills a whole bunch of people in that scene with the Batmobile, which Superman stops the Batmobile, but doesn't stop the dudes that were firing guns at the Batmobile. Very Superman-y. He just shows up and it's like, he just pings the Batmobile and it's like, the Bat is dead. Consider this mercy. I'm like, what? The movie doesn't make any sense, man. The movie, like, here, okay, yeah. With all of these movies, what pisses me off is that all it requires is a nerd like myself. Give me 30 minutes and I could tell you a better story. So here's the one. How about Batman v Superman? So they establish in the beginning of Batman v Superman, you see the scene where Metropolis is being destroyed from Bruce's eyes. Mm-hmm. Cool. I actually like that scene. It's an interesting, because I thought what we were going to do there is we were going to address the criticisms from Man of Steel. That never actually happened in this movie. So what happens is that they introduced that character, I forget his name, but the security guard who lost his legs. Mm-hmm. Okay. I thought that was going to be the crux of the movie, because this is what you could have done. So you cut away to a year later. Superman is in the culture of humanity, he's a divisive figure. Some people love him, some people hate him. They now realize, and he's having to he's come up and said, like, I want to be better because this I'm new at this. And I never want something like Metropolis to ever happen again. You deserve a better, you deserve a better savior. I want to be that person you're supposed to look up to. All the while, Bruce Wayne has become increasingly paranoid about the fact that there is essentially a god walking amongst them. Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne start forming a partnership. Bruce, because now in this universe, he lives right across the bay from Metropolis. Mm-hmm. Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor have combined together, and in the last year, they've rebuilt Metropolis. Okay. It is now a venture between Wayne Tech and LexCorp. And what part of the things that they're doing is that Lex is really interested in this metal. He's calling it Metallo. And he's like, what we can do is all the people that were injured during the Battle of Metropolis, we can fix them. We can make them better. And Bruce thinks of a perfect candidate for it. He finds the old security guard. And he's like, we're going to make your body. We're gonna repair you. We're gonna make you better. So he gives him these metallic legs, and he's able to walk again. So this is where things start to get a little interesting. Bruce doesn't realize what Lex is doing, because Lex realizes that this guy has a huge grudge against Superman. So we find out that the security guard's name is John Corbin. John Corbin, ends up becoming the villain Metallo in Superman comics. Metallo essentially is a Terminator powered by kryptonite.
Yes.
And Bruce is not realizing that he's helping Lex Luthor create the thing that's going to kill Superman. No Doomsday. We're not going to do Doomsday yet.
As well, they shouldn't have. I thought that was
they really shouldn't have. And you almost as much as Wonder Woman was the best thing about that movie, she doesn't need to be there. If she does, she only needs to be a cameo. Because really, the other thing I was like, there's only one fight scene between Batman and Superman in the movie called Batman vs. Superman. What really should have happened was, rule of thirds. There should have been 3 engagements between them. There should have been the first engagement. Batman tries to match his scientific process against Superman. He tries to use his tech. Doesn't work. Second time, that's when he shows up in the power suit. Mm-hmm. And he's able to better Superman. But he now leaves Superman in a weakened position that when Metallo shows up, Metallo's going to murder Superman. And Batman realizes the error of his ways, and it becomes a story where Batman, because it needs to be a story where you buy the fact that these 2 characters end up becoming friends. Because I never once buy the fact that Batman and Superman at the end of that movie are friends. You should have made a much smaller story where there is no, casualties on the streets. I really hated that in Batman v Superman. Anytime there was a sequence where the whole part of a city gets destroyed, someone in the news goes, "But that part is abandoned of town. That part of town is abandoned. I'm sorry. Oh, here's Stryker's Island. It's uninhabited." We're so used to now that we have to have these big giant action scenes. How about we have the ending climax of a movie where a superhero, actually saves people? Like, what should have happened is that Superman saving all the people in the way of the destruction of Metallo. Metallo is just decimating around. And Batman's the one fighting Metallo. Because he still has the mech suit on. He's on equal footing with him. And he can face him because of the kryptonite doesn't affect him. So you have it that even though Bruce Wayne accidentally, inadvertently created a thing that could kill Superman, he's the one that's making sure and putting himself on the line to protect Superman and to, that he believes in him.
That would be...
I know I fudged the middle of it, but, I think you could have done a much better story with that. Mm-hmm. Make a smaller story. Don't make it big where, it begins with, oh, yes, there's, Superman goes and saves people in Africa, but they think that he burned them, and what does this have to do with anything?
Another big problem with that movie is Batman's supposed to be the best detective. Wouldn't he know that all those people were killed by gunshots and Superman, that doesn't match Superman's MO?
Yeah, but also Batman in that movie comes off as a total just caveman. My thing is he uses a gun to solve every problem he runs into in that movie. Batmobile chase, uses a gun. How does he beat Superman? Uses a gun. How does he stop the guy that's holding Martha hostage? Uses a gun. How does he beat Doomsday? He fires a grenade launcher at him from a gun. And I'm just Batman needs to be, just...
Where's the Batarang?
The Batarang, yes, I would have liked a Batarang, but it's also just Batman needs to actually, we finally got Batman to look the way that he does in the comics. Yet, he wasn't my Batman still. It's I'm never going to get a Batman that's the definite version of Batman.
You got Lego Batman.
I really do like Lego Batman, but because I like Lego Batman because he is actually a very snarky parody of what Warner Brothers thinks Batman has to be. Batman's all dark and brooding and intense and all that stuff, and they're forgetting the fact that he bombs around with a kid named Robin, right? And he's got a thing called the Batmobile.
Well,
this should be fun.
I think they really forget that because, in the Dark Knight series, there really isn't a Robin.
No, and that's okay. So, I would love to see somebody do a Batman Robin story done right, because that's the story I want to see. Because you could, because I want a detective movie. I'm sick and tired of Batman movies having to end where he fights a dude. He gets in a fist fight with some guy, even if it's somebody like the Penguin who can't even defend himself. I want it to be a Batman movie where he uses his brain to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. What I thought would be a fun idea for a Batman movie is you do the whole Dick Grayson origin, and you have it so it's the beginning of Robin, and you have it so that it's very much like how the newer Judge Dredd movie that came out a few years ago is. Batman doesn't change. Judge Dredd doesn't change. The character stays consistent the entire time. It's not actually their movie. The protagonist, the character that grows and changes, is the rookie. So you make the movie about Dick Grayson. You make it about him growing up as, becoming the boy wonder. You have, like, great scenes where he fudges up, or, like, maybe, you have a scene when it's the moment when his parents have died. He's down on his knees looking at, Dick Grayson's looking at his parents. Bruce is there. He turns around because he doesn't know what to do. Quick flash. He looks down. He's not looking at Dick Grayson anymore. He's looking at himself. And it's the same. Dick is in the same position that Bruce was when his parents died. And you get that mirror. They look at each other, and you're like, these two people need each other because they're so much the same. They're ripped from the same cloth. You can have all these great scenes where, like, Robin, first night out, he looks ridiculous. He messes up, and Batman gets shot a bunch of times in the chest, goes out the window. And then it addresses something that's always bothered fans. He gets up, and he's like, are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. And you find out that, like, in the comics, the reason why Batman wears the big yellow bat signal on his chest is because he puts all of his body armor here. All of the thickest body armor, because he's naturally placed a target on his center mass where people will aim. So that he knows people are going to shoot at him. But if you shoot at a big, giant, yellow oval on your chest, it's a target there, so you can put all of his body armor there. And, like, who would be the villain? Clayface, probably, because I'd love to see that character. You'd have it so maybe something like this, where, like, Clayface is, pretending to be Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne gets, arrested for something that he didn't do, and the end act of the movie is Robin having to do something all himself.
That could be good.
And the end of the story is Robin, justifying his existence to Bruce by, getting Bruce out, not breaking him out. Like, you could actually have the scene where it's like, I can break you out. It's like, it doesn't matter. You need to break, you need to use your mind to get me out of here some other way. And at the end of it, he... But
doesn't that kind of go against who Bruce Wayne, Batman is? Because Batman doesn't like getting help from anybody.
But that would be the emotional story there. That would be the emotional arc, is that Bruce, Bruce's big thing is that he doesn't want to let people in because he's afraid of losing people the same way that he lost his parents. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of meat there. There's a lot of fat that you could tell in terms of telling a really good story between these two characters, because I think a lot of people are afraid of telling the Batman Robin story because they're like, oh, it sounds gay. And you're like, no, it's not that. It's,
it's a father-son.
It is a father-son because he, it really is. It's that he adopts Dick Grayson. That's his boy. That's his son. And it's that the fact that I love about them is that they, even though they are so similar, they're so different at the same time. Bruce is all intense and brooding and antisocial, and even though Dick Grayson went through the same ordeal, he's happy-go-lucky, chipper, optimistic, and is always there to, like, try to brighten up the mood. Bruce looks down at Dick Grayson and says, he's everything I want to be. All these horrible things have happened to him, and he's not let it affect him the way that it affected me. And Dick looks up at Bruce and he's like, he's everything I want to be. He was broken and he turned himself into something amazing. He made himself better than any human on this planet is. That's what's, that's beautiful. There's something amazing about that relationship. And I want to see that. But no, we're just going to have it. It's like, we're going to skip over Robin. You got killed by the Joker. Ha ha, joke's on you, Batman.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a accurate portrayal of Superman as well. Because I don't think very many portrayals. I don't think they've gotten him right either.
They've gotten him right, but the thing is that they got him right 35 years ago. Is that Christopher Reeve? Whenever I hear Superman, whenever I read Superman comics, I always hear Christopher Reeve's voice. Sure, the movies that are actually surrounding him aren't particularly great. There's things that are really wrong about those films, but he is so perfect. He's so pitch perfect as that character. He takes something that is ridiculous and he makes it completely believable. Richard Donner, when he was directing that film, he called it verisimilitude. Verisimilitude is truth in itself, no matter how ridiculous something is. If you can buy it just enough, you're willing to give it, you give it more leeway. And that costume is ridiculous. That costume is ridiculous. Superhero costumes in general are ridiculous. He puts on that costume. He's a mountain of a human being. He's not even that much taller than me in real life. And I look at him and he was a mountain. he made that costume work even with the red underwear on.
Sure.
I think the thing is that people don't understand what makes Superman special. They've tried 2 times to reboot the franchise, and both times they leaned too hard in different directions. When they did Superman Returns, the director Bryan Singer was so in love with Richard Donner's version of the character that he didn't ever take the time to actually do something for himself, like come up with the original idea. The only original idea he came up with was, Superman has a kid, and it sucked. Superman in that entire movie doesn't throw a single punch, and his climax of that film is he lifts up an island. Ooh. Then you get to Man of Steel, where all he is punching things.
Although Man of Steel did have that amazing scene where that dude was, what was it, the cafe scene where he puts the
oh no, there's stuff
in a knot.
There's stuff that's great about Man of Steel. There is stuff that's absolutely spot on great about Man of Steel.
I cried 3 times in that movie.
Like the actor.
You like Henry Cavill?
Well, I think he did. I think he plays.
I think everyone's great.
It.
And that's the thing is like Man of Steel. The ending of Man of Steel promises that we get Superman the way that we know Superman, and we don't get that in Batman v Superman because
we get a very dark Superman.
And Superman, the thing is this: Superman can't be dark. Superman has to be like Captain America. Is that he is
a Boy Scout?
It's more to it than that. Is that he's your anchor. He's your beacon. All else fails. If everyone else, gives up on their convictions, he's the one that's always there to stay true to himself.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's, our generations are growing up and they need something more dark to entertain them? Or is it, obviously things used to have kind of a charm.
Yeah, Superman's very...
In the previous generations, is it because we're changing as viewers?
And we're more accepting of our flaws.
And we need darkness to entertain us? Or can there be a not cutesy, I wouldn't say the word, what you were saying?
Well, I think part of it is that, people ask me, why is Batman more popular than Superman? Batman doesn't ask anything from you. Batman's whole diatribe is that the world sucks, and we have to do what we can to try to force it to be right. Superman's all about, hey, it's going to be okay, but you have to work towards it. Superman is the person that you're never going to be as good as him. But what you have to do is try to live up to his example. Superman's always going to be better than us. Because, there's baggage with the character. Yes, he's essentially 3 biblical characters mixed together, okay? You take the origin of Moses, you take Samson's like insane strength with a stupid weakness, and then you wrap it in the cloth of a messianic character like Jesus Christ. And that's what Superman is, okay? He's super Jesus, okay? That's what it's always been. You get to the Superman movie, and from 1978, and Marlon Brando's like, they can be a great people, Kal-El, if they wish to be. They only lack the light to show them the way. That's why I send them you, my only son. Can you get more on the nose about it here? It's like in Man of Steel, it's like, I've been here for 33 years. 33 years? Okay, all right. He goes into the church scene when he's talking about, my convictions, and what happens is, he's right behind a glass pane of Jesus. I'm like, okay, get it, he's Jesus, all right. But with that baggage, it's a lot of people find him passé because it's like, he's so goody.
Well, I think back when Superman was popular, like really popular, everybody was working really hard to work on their flaws, work really hard. I'm not wording it right.
So we're getting lazy, is what you're saying.
We're getting lazy.
It could be some of that.
We're okay with our flaws.
You look at so here's something. You look at our culture right now in terms of what is the most popular stuff nowadays. And there's a movie called Tomorrowland that talks about this. So it's going to sound like a broken record if you've seen that movie, but all of our stuff that we The Walking Dead, there's all these various things that are about how shitty the future is going to be. And it's just going to be. It just has to be. That's how the future's going to be. And it doesn't ask anything of us, so we just resign ourselves to this future that's going to be awful. Mm-hmm. Even though, what would be more mature would be like, okay, how do we make it better? Superman's a challenge to us. It's the idea is that we've all essentially become Lex Luthor. we're envious of what, you know, Superman is, and we're not taking the right example from him. You know, Superman as a character wants everyone to be, you know, improve upon the human condition. You have flaws. Make yourself better.
Sure.
You know, it's not just, you know, the world can be dark. The world can be as dark as it is. Don't let it affect you. Because Superman as a character is that what makes him work great as a character is that no matter how dark everything is around him, he's always going to be the one that's going to, you know, crack a smile and try to make, you know, one of my favorite scenes from Superman comics in general. It's from All-Star Superman, and it has nothing to do with action.
Oh, I love that. I've seen the lot.
It has nothing
cartoon.
to do. Oh, here's the thing: it's missing from the cartoon. The scene that I love is missing from the cartoon. I really like the cartoon adaptation, but it's the fact that it cut out this one scene. I know it doesn't add anything to the story, but it perfectly sums up what I love about Superman. So it's a panel. It's this goth-looking girl on the edge of a building, and she has her cell phone. She drops the cell phone off the edge of it. She's crying. She's gonna jump. Superman shows up right behind her, and he's like, your therapist really did run late. He wasn't lying to you. She turns around and he goes, you're much stronger than you think you are, Reagan. And then she hugs him and he hugs her, and it's like, you know, it's all going to be okay. And that sums up to me what I love about Superman. Superman is, you know, perpetually your big brother. That's what when people say it's like, how do you write Superman right? You write him like your big brother. Is he cool? Kind of, not really, but he is. You know, he's always going to have an authority on you, even though you might think that he's kind of a loser. Mm-hmm. You know, people might think he's a loser, but you have to, like, you know, his jokes are terrible, and, like, you know, he's got, you know, horrible fashion. But there's something that's, you know, you have to respect about the character. It's the same thing with Captain America. Captain America is a character that, before Chris Evans became that character for the movies, I could not care. But you put that...
I don't like roid-raged people.
No,
that's
but
all
like
he is.
it's like, you know, when people say it's like,
roids.
you know, like the best scene in all the Captain America movies, the best scene in all of them is that scene in the first one when when Tommy Lee Jones throws the grenade.
I will agree that.
And he jumps up on top of it, and that perfectly sums up what makes the character great. Is that what makes these characters great isn't how hard they could punch somebody through a wall. Mm-hmm. What makes characters great is the little details. Those little things that make them, you know, interesting. It's always boggled me that Marvel, that Disney didn't even own Marvel up until about a few years ago.
It was Fox or Sony, right?
No. Like, so early on, Marvel was in really bad trouble financially, so they sold a lot of their film rights to various film companies. So that's why you're never going to see an X-Men movie, an X-Men character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because the X-Men titles, the X-Men characters are all wrapped up in, like, legal issues with Fox. You know, so Fox owns the X-Men, Sony owns Spider-Man, but Marvel was able to broker a deal to use Spider-Man in their movies,
which was amazing.
It's very, very clever. It's very smart business move. But Warner Brothers has had their characters this entire time. They've owned their DC characters for about 50 to 60 years.
Really?
Yes. They've owned all these characters, and they haven't done anything with it. Because the people running it don't have faith in it to be itself. And it's okay for something to be itself. You know, if Warner Brothers was doing a Captain America movie, they would be like, does he have to wear the costume? Does he need to use the shield? You know, these are the kind of conversations that actually happen. This is why when you get to, you know, the X-Men movies where it's like, do they have to wear the yellow and the blue? Yes. They have to wear the yellow and the blue. Don't put them in, like, you know, and don't put them in leather, you know, outfits like they're bikers.
I agree.
Yeah. It's just let it be goofy. You know, okay? Like, you can adapt things, like, just know how to do it right. You look at the Captain America costume, and it looks great. It is Captain America.
You look at the Daredevil costume.
The Daredevil costume on the television show. It looks great. It looks great.
Does.
The Punisher looks great. All these characters look great. The thing is that they look like they're characters from the comics because there's faith in the fact that, like, hey, this design has been around for about 50 to 60 years. Don't break it. There's nothing wrong with it. You know? Yeah, you have to adapt things and change things around.
Sure.
You know, like, but that's okay. You know, we're finally getting to a point where like people are okay with the costume. Batman actually looks like Batman finally. You know, he doesn't have throat cancer. These are all positive things. But the people that are in charge that telling, you know, like who tell the film directors and the filmmakers how to make a movie, it's tying their hands. It's like, hey, we need a Superman. We want to do a sequel to Superman. We're going to do Batman. Okay, then we can do that. We need Doomsday in it, too. Oh, okay, we can do it. We also need to have Wonder Woman in it, too. Oh, okay. And we need to have Lex Luthor in it. Oh, okay. And we need to have Steppenwolf in it. Oh, okay. We need to have a scene where we have the Flash and Cyborg and Aquaman introduced on a thumb drive. We're going to introduce our Justice League on a thumb drive. It's like, hey, watch these. It's essentially Bruce Wayne went to, you know, sent a Twitter feed, you know, it's like, here, hashtag, check this out, Wonder Woman. I want you to see these videos that I, like, just favorited. You think you'll like it. Oh, look, it's the Flash. Oh, look, it's Aquaman. Oh, look, it's Cyborg. Yet, for some reason, also, LexCorp has designed the logos for each of those superheroes so that, like, you know, Project Flash. What?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It's that they're so desperate to be the next Marvel. I'm talking in circles. I know. I'm sorry.
It's truly upsetting from my standpoint. I never really read the comics. I watched a lot of the cartoons.
See, I'm a comic junkie.
Yeah,
and it pisses me off.
Well, it upsets me because here's my thing. From what I've researched, because I do actually find it very entertaining. All of those stories and stuff. I just don't necessarily have the time. I have ADHD, so it's hard to read all the comic books, especially now that it's like an uphill battle how many comic books
are. Oh, no, don't worry. Wikipedia is actually the main reason why I sound as intelligent as I am when it comes to this kind of stuff.
So, in my opinion, DC has the better stories, has the better characters over Marvel.
Well, you get typically the better writers. You know, Alan Moore never wrote, I don't think Alan Moore ever wrote for Marvel. I don't want to be, you know, completely definitive here, but you get writers like Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore, and you know, you get all these incredible writers that are writing for DC characters. You know,
well, and that's why it gets upsetting because you're just like, there's such good characters like Martian Manhunter.
I would love to see Martian Manhunter. I don't think we should never have a Martian Manhunter movie, but damn it, we need to have the Martian Manhunter in the Justice League.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
we don't need a Green Arrow movie, but we need him in the Justice League.
And that's another thing. That's a problem with DC is that you know, they have these killer television shows. And they've decided that they're not going to link them at all to the movies, which is just a crutch to them. They have built up a fan base with The Flash. They've built up a fan base with Arrow. They turned Legends of Tomorrow into a good show.
The last I watched, it wasn't that great. It's gotten good.
Season 2 is amazing. Season 2 had the JSA in it. It had Vixen. Vixen is on a television show. These characters are like grade C level. I mean, come on. I lost it when I was like, we're going to be the Legion of Doom. The Legion of Doom is on the new season of the show. You know, Constantine's on the, exists in the Arrowverse.
Yes, he does.
And all this is awesome. Everything that's happening over on the movie side is not awesome. And they could have fixed it. There's a really easy way to fix it. The easy way you fix it, and we were talking about this before the podcast started, was that, okay, they want to make a Flash movie. Okay, they've gone through 4 directors and they've all left. Okay, but, you know, they want to make a Flash movie. They have a different dude playing the Flash. They have Ezra Miller instead of Grant Gustin, who plays the Flash on the television show. I have nothing against Ezra Miller as an actor. I know he's a very fine, capable actor. And from what I've seen so far, I like his take on Barry Allen.
Very good. Yes.
It's not the Barry Allen that for the last 3 years we've grown to like, and we know.
Love. I think he's done
He's fantastic.
Exemplary.
You know, whoever would have thought a kid from Glee would be like, oh yes, he has a giraffe neck, but he will be your Flash and you will love him.
Yeah.
But what you could do, if you wanted to course correct in a big way, is what you could do is you do a Flash movie and you introduce the multiverse. You introduce the multiverse where in DC Comics, there's a multiverse. So, you know, there's a version of Superman that instead of crashing in Kansas, he crashed in Soviet Russia. And he became the Red Sun. He became the hammer and sickle. He literally, the S symbol, instead of the S, is literally the hammer and sickle on the chest. Yeah. So there's all these different alternate parallel universes. So what would make it cool? What would be cool is if the Flash at one point goes into a parallel universe and he runs into Batman. But it's Michael Keaton Batman. And you're like, oh my god. And then he starts talking about there used to be a Justice League. And then you cut back to footage of Christopher Reeve and Linda Carter. And you find out that all of the characters, every iteration of these characters you grew up on, they're all valid. Adam West was Batman at one point. Yes, in one universe, he was Batman. And he kicked ass. In one universe, Linda Carter was Wonder Woman. In one universe, Christopher Reeve was Superman. In one universe, George Clooney was Batman. All these characters exist. Hell, maybe get Ryan Reynolds, see if he's game, come back as Green Lantern. But you can do it where all these characters exist. And then at the very end of it, you actually have the character, the Flash from the television show up in the Flash movie. And you're course corrected. You're like, okay, the television shows do exist in a weird way with movies. Mm-hmm. The only thing that would make it even better is if we find out that all of these horrible Batman and, Batman v Superman, all this stuff, is we're not actually watching Earth 1, we're watching, like, Earth 57, and you find out this is the creation of the Justice Lords, so it's the evil Justice League. And then you get to the end, and the real Justice League shows up, and they look the way they're supposed to look.
Now, see, I get what you're saying, and I was wondering, do you think that due to the popularity of Injustice, that they're trying to make Superman bad? Because remember, there's a part in Batman vs Superman where Barry Allen's like, "You were right," or whatever.
You mean the scene that doesn't make any sense whatsoever?
Yes.
The worst part is
Injustice.
Yeah, but also it's just that thing when you watch it in theater and you're like, "Who the hell is that supposed to be?" And I'm just like, as a nerd, I'm like, "Wait, is that supposed to be the Flash?" Wait, yeah. So he's going back in time, but is this a dream sequence? Because there was a dream sequence before where Batman dreams about parademons, but why would he know about parademons?
Yeah.
And then the Flash shows up, but they present the scene like it's another dream sequence because there's too many dream sequences in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, it's a very confusing movie.
They can't move up from down is just no.
Now, I had to cut it. What we're going to do, because we're getting a little lengthy here.
Oh, sorry, guys.
No problem at all.
Ramble.
And you know what? I hope at some point we can get you back on, because we're having a great time, and it's a great podcast from what I can tell. I wanted to ask you because we got to do a weigh-in before we close out, but I love the Marvel. I'm not a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love the Netflix series. The Netflix ones, I'm a huge fan of.
I like it all, kind of. I mean, I really like Marvel more than anything. I just appreciate that, like, it knows what it's doing and it's delivering.
Like, not to say I hate the movies. I do enjoy them, but I feel that they have more leeway in the Netflix series.
Sure, absolutely. I mean,
now my question is, because I have just fallen in love with the Netflix Punisher. Being that you're the comic book guy, how accurate is that Punisher to the comic book Punisher?
It's pretty accurate. I mean, that's a character that's really simple. That's what always that just amazed me about the fact that they could never do the Punisher right. He's so simple. He's so simple. He's just dude. He's like special forces army dude, loses his family and goes on a rampage. I think what made that Punisher in that television show work is that they didn't try to give him an arc. Like, he doesn't change.
And they're not trying to make him a hero.
It's not like the Thomas Jane one where it's like, oh, hey, we're going to introduce, a fat dude and then a pierced up dude and then Mystique, and they're going to be his roommates over on the flat. And like, oh yeah, but he's got a heart of gold. No, Frank Castle is a bona fide killer. He hates everyone. That's what I like about the character, is that, everything's extreme with him.
Does Punisher, now, you say he just hates everyone. Does Punisher ever save anybody?
Well, the thing about the Punisher is that, like, it's not really about saving people. It's about punishing the wicked. Is that if, like, he saves people, I almost feel like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that happened too, I guess.
For sure.
That's not what the character's about. The Punisher it's in his title. It's there. He's the Punisher.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I like about the character is that he's just, it's simplicity at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I'm a dude with a skull on my chest. And I'm going to shoot dudes until they die from it.
Yes. And, like, 'cause I've noticed the Punisher in the Netflix series is very brutal. And I think I saw Punisher Warzone.
Which was actually, I really dug that one because it understood that Punisher shouldn't change as a character. You know, he stays consistent the entire film, and it's so schlocky over the top. I love the fact that, like, he punches a dude and his face explodes. He punches a dude and his face explodes. There's so many head explosions in that movie that don't make any sense. I'm gonna hit him with the leg of a chair. Head explosion. You know?
Yeah. That being said, like, there have been, 3-4 different
Three adaptations.
Well, fourth one if you count the Daredevil show.
Dolph
Lundgren, yes. Dolph Lundgren, then Thomas Jane, and then Stevenson.
Yeah, that's the one I haven't seen was the Dolph Lundgren one.
It's not great. He's actually pretty good as Frank Castle, but the movie itself isn't too good.
So, out of all of them, who do you think best portrays what the Punisher is supposed to be?
Oh, it's definitely John Bernthal, but I think it's the difference between a movie and a television show. With a television show, you have the opportunity to actually tell a story and get to know these characters for over the span of like 13 hours compared to the 90 minutes to 2 hours that you have of the movie.
Because I get chills because I'll rewatch it sometimes. Whenever Daredevil and Castle, they're on. Whenever they talk, like the rooftop scene where one's talking about how you don't have to kill, and the other one's like, "No, I have to kill."
When you knock them down, they get back up. When I knock them down, they stay down.
Yes.
It's the thing is that, like, again, it's Marvel's commitment to the characters. Is that sure? It's fun watching those two characters fight, but it's way more interesting to watch those characters talk. You know, it's like the X-Men movies. I could have an entire movie that is just Professor X and Magneto playing chess and just talking, and I would be completely enthralled. Give me that over Wolverine, just clawing a bunch of dudes with no blood.
For sure. And another one of the scenes is when Punisher is talking with Kingpin in jail.
Yeah, and then Kingpin was one of the best things about season 1. I mean,
the only thing good about season 1 in my opinion.
No.
I wasn't a big fan of season 1.
I have the opposite feeling, is that I preferred season 1 over season 2.
Really?
Season 2, I kept on skipping past scenes just so I can get to the next scene with Punisher.
Electra.
Because I know it's stupid that it's stupid that I can buy a blind dude in red beating the crap out of people in New York, but I can't buy ninjas in New York. You know, I know, it's stupid. The thing is this, is that I will never take it seriously because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a spoof of Daredevil.
Is it really?
Yes. Okay, so what's the evil organization in Daredevil called? The Hand. What's the evil organization called in Ninja Turtles? The Foot. Who teaches Daredevil? What's his name? Stick. Who teaches the Ninja Turtles? Splinter. Is Eastman and Laird the guys who did Ninja Turtles? Or it's like, let's just do the most ridiculous spoof of Marvel Comics. It's goofy to me, and it's like when you don't have Ninja Turtles. I think you need something really ridiculous for me to buy the fact that, okay, there's ninjas in New York. I never really get to buy. I just can't buy the Hand in season 2 of Daredevil. I really like the Punisher. I liked everything with the Punisher. I liked everything with the Kingpin. I really like season 1.
Did you get chills when they were talking in the prison?
It was pretty cool. Yeah,
it was pretty.
And also I love the fact that we talk about how great the fight scenes are in the Daredevil movie and the Daredevil show. I mean, and I love the fact that they made sure to not over choreograph Wilson Fisk. Is that he's a brawler. I mean, he flails, and the fact that he just uses his.
He's like a child. How
yes.
He just slams.
Well, that's what I love about the character is that he's got something there's an element of
mental
retardation or so. There's something. It's kind of like how it's like he's never had to emotionally develop past a certain age as a human being. And so when he tantrums out, it's incredibly violent because you're talking about 6'5", 350 pounds of man.
Yeah.
You know, so like that part in season 1 when he just beats the dude's head in with the car door until it cracks open, and you're like, cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I cannot, like, you can literally, like, I can literally just watch the parts of season 2 with just the Punisher parts. I'm just like,
yeah, it makes me excited about the Punisher show.
But it doesn't also make you a little worried just because it's set such a high bar.
Well, no, that's not what makes me nervous. Is how bad Iron Fist ended up being is what makes me nervous. Is that, you know, like Marvel's been pretty consistent for the most part, but like, man, they dropped the ball.
Now, as long as they keep the I don't remember the actor's name, the Punisher away from hand-to-hand fighting, because like you were saying earlier before the podcast, what was great about the Daredevil is that he's wearing a mask so they can just throw in somebody that knows Kung Fu. As long as you just keep Frank Castle to what Frank Castle's supposed to be, and that's somebody who shoots people.
Well, here's the other thing, though, but you got to think, is like, John Bernthal, as an actor, though, takes time and effort to actually, like, you know, to at least look convincing. Because the best part of season 2 of Daredevil is that scene when he's in the prison and all the prisoners break out and they try to kill him and he just brutalizes them with the shank.
That is true.
That's the best scene of the show. I watched that like 3 or 4 times back to back. I was like, I need to watch this again. I can't believe I'm watching this on a television show. Yes, it's on Netflix, but it's like, you forget, and you're like, because the show sneaks up on you how violent it can be at times. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it is. It's, I cannot, like, recommend enough everything but Iron Fist.
Yeah,
they're all good.
Iron Fist was bad.
Because, I mean, you got Jessica Jones, which originally, some people think I'm sexy, some people, all this other stuff, right? I don't normally like to see a girl in a position, like, as the main character, because I can't relate.
Well, I think, I have a friend who's like that, too, where it's like, he has that whole thing where it's like, I can't buy, like, this is his hold up, is that it's like, I really hate it when I watch scenes in movies where like a kid or a woman is getting into a straight fist fight with a dude.
Yes.
And, you know, and it's like,
and she's winning.
I'm going to punch. No, it's not that he's winning. It's like able to hold their, like, you know, it's all about how you shoot and you present the fight. Mm-hmm. And Jessica Jones, you know, she's got super strength, so it counts.
Which, yeah, exactly, yes.
But, you know, it's, I could see where they're coming from, where it's like, you watch a movie like Kick-Ass, and like Hit Girl is just beating the crap out of dudes like 2 times her size. Yeah. And you're just like, I don't buy this. And that's what makes that scene in Kick-Ass so amazing at the end when she fights Mark Strong and he beats the crap out of her because he knows martial arts. And he's just, you know, it's like the whole time you're just like, oh my God, he's beating up a little girl. But you're laughing because it's throwing the expectation of the cliche right back in your face. For sure. So I can see that. I mean, because Jessica Jones really is the best show of all the Netflix shows. It's the most strongly written. It has the most to say. Because the reason why ultimately Iron Fist doesn't work is that it doesn't have anything to say. It doesn't have any perspective. You know, with, you know, Daredevil, you have one, he's blind. How many superheroes do you know about for the things that they can't do? But 2, you know, it's about, you know, the forgotten, the homeless, the disenfranchised, you know, you know, that's what his story is about. You know, is that the people that slip through the cracks, that get forgotten, you know, into the system. Luke Cage has a bunch to say. You know, it's got a accidental weight behind it. You know, the movie, that show coming out, you know, at the time that it did, it already had, you know, a platform. It already had a soapbox to be on, but it became so much more relevant, you know. And at the same time, it's really fun. It's like it's leaning into the blaxploitation genre with its, you know, killer soundtrack and stuff. Jessica Jones, you know, is all about. I mean, it's amazing that we have a television show that's essentially about. It's a rape survivor. That's what it is. She's a rape survivor. And
it's so.
It's
creepy.
It's creepy.
It's
yeah,
scary.
Because the villain, like. For as much as we complain, as you know, as film nerds complain about how Marvel can never do a villain right in the movies,
they did it.
They do it right on the television shows, man.
I say, God, he is Kilgraves is scary. Like, if a person like that existed. You know, I think at this point we might want to go towards... And we can have you on again. I mean, it doesn't really match our genre of health and wellness, but
Here's these two people over here that are all trying to get fit, and there's this fat dude over here that just had a triple bacon cheeseburger before he came over and met them.
How dare you?
And wouldn't eat my chicken.
I ate your chicken.
Wait, so that is why you
was
eat that
tasty, but I had eaten, like... Okay, my metabolism is slow, okay? You can tell. All right?
Don't worry, ours is too. That's why we're here doing this playlist challenge.
But
you can join in if you like.
You totally could. Hey.
No, your cooking's fantastic. Shut up.
So, well, I guess right now we should go to the health and wellness part of this episode where we do our weigh-ins. We've already done them this morning, so how do you go first?
Okay.
Wait, what were you last week?
Where was I last week? 243.
Okay.
I was at 243 and then down from 246. And this morning I was 239.2. So yay, I was doing good.
For Heidi. Claps for Heidi.
Claps for Heidi.
So last week I was at 270 pounds. And from literally just cutting, like going paleo, I'm down to 262.1 or something like that. What was it? Or something like that? 260.
It's like 262
point two.
Ridiculous. Didn't even work out. Didn't do a damn thing except stop eating so much. Dropped almost 10 pounds. Actually, 2 days ago you were at 260, and it went up a little bit.
Because we went out and did the Mexican.
We did our one cheat meal with Mexican. Which, by the way, after eating paleo, eating Mexican made me just physically ill. It was just disgusting. It tasted good, but it was god awful, disgusting. So I think our cheat meals will definitely not be as heavy in the future, if we even need a cheat meal at this point.
Yeah.
But both of us, so 8 pounds down for him and 7 for me, which is really cool. We're on our way to 200 and on our way to Santa Cruz for our vacation.
Or not, because I did lose 9 pounds.
Yeah.
Well. But
oh yeah, you guys are fighting over like where the vacation's gonna be, right?
Yes.
Yep, that's
you want Monterey, you want Santa Cruz.
No, I want Santa Cruz. He wants the mountains.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. No. Yes, that's what it was.
Mountains.
Tahoe.
Tahoe. That's what it
right,
was.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Now Kyle is down to 223 pounds
from 226.
226. So that's good for Kyle as well. So yay,
so
Kyle!
Yay.
Anywho, all right. So it's been excellent having you on the podcast, Chris. I hope you'll come back at some point.
I
maybe
think that's a very definite possibility. This was fun.
I'd maybe as a regular guest, meaning like maybe a couple times a year or a couple.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this was fun. I mean, it's like it's like you're feeding into my weakness, getting to hear myself talk. That's fun.
Oh yeah, and hey, you know what? Honestly, we love to hear it. Like I said, you're the Movie Howse it's great, and for the people who don't know, it's play on your last name. That's the thing about it is that it's a little bit more clever than than just being the Movie Howse. My name is Howze, Howze. It's means the same thing. It's house, but it's just there's you lean into the Z and it's Germanically spelled. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, I spent time like, what am I going to call the channel? And I come up with all these horrible, pretentious names. And it was like, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh, God, no, that's terrible. And I was just like, all my life, everyone's been like, who's that? Who's the fat dude? Oh, that's, leave him alone. That's the movie guy. And I was like, how about Movie Howse? And my friends were like, oh, that's actually really clever. My wife's like, yeah, that's actually pretty good. So I was like, oh, okay, we'll do this. And it ended up sticking. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. For sure. And do you have a Facebook page for people a fan page yet? Or
I actually need to do that. I haven't even thought of that yet.
You totally should.
Yeah, I know. Really I need to create because I just have my
different platforms, Chris. Come on.
Well, I have my Twitter, and it's just I just don't twat enough, So.
Yes. Yes, that's how I feel about Twitter.
But most of the times you can find me, you just look up Movie Howse and you'll see my fat mug right there, and you can go on YouTube and it'll be there.
Howze.
Thank you.
That's kind of what we did for ours the other day or this morning. Whenever the heck we picked this name.
Yeah, we just picked it this morning.
We were like, oh, that's a sharp podcast.
Well, no,
that's one sharp podcast.
A lot of times the best ones typically are the ones that you don't think about, and then you just right there in your face, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, we should play on our last name, because originally I was like, let's just do Sharp Dynasty, you know?
Sharp Dynasty.
No, I really do like the name.
Thank you, and we're gonna work on a graphic, and it should be very interesting.
Please, guys, check out Chris's channel on YouTube. One more time, the Movie Howse, I can't spell it, Howze.
Yeah.
And subscribe, because he needs subscribers to start making the bread.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely worth watching his movie reviews. They are excellent.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And also, if you guys can check out the Jump for Hope campaign going on, we've been promoting it on our fan page on Facebook. It goes to a really good cause. It's to help. It's to basically research and hopefully end at some point type 1 diabetes. So yeah, like I said, if you have $5, if you have $1, it's a GoFundMe account. The smallest bit of change, it really helps out. They'll also be having an event over in Galt on the 20th of May. And we're going to be having a couple of coordinators on next week to kind of go over all that stuff. Other than that, again, the name has changed. That's One Sharp Podcast. So check us out on our Facebook page if you want to get a hold of us. Any questions you might have. Also, that's One Sharp Podcast, probably at yahoo.com. We're going to set up an email. We'd love feedback. And until next time, this has been Wes.
And this has been Heidi.
Oh, and this has been Chris.
Movie Howse. Y'all have a good night.